This is an admin video including some tips on how to set up for rostering. We're going to be using the demo, the Forever Handy demo as an admin user. Now there will be, let's see what we've got here at the moment. Let's pin the sidebar. We have two regularly occurring events here. We've got the morning service and the evening service. And each of those have a template roster. They have preachers, service leaders, muso team, supper roster, and things like that. Let's see, evening service, similar. Yep, the same. We can see that we can actually filter this roster item. Only allows users who are in the preachers group to be rostered on for this. In that way, you can filter what users are available. So we know who's in the preachers. We can go to user groups and we can say, okay, Abraham, Joshua, and Adam are here. You can actually create another group. Let's say supper roster. Just put Adam in there. And if you go back to the morning service and we go to the supper roster, you can actually filter to only users who are in the supper group. Let's save that there. Done. Okay, so we can actually let's create a piano or at morning service. So users who will play the piano at the morning service, and then piano at evening service. Users who are happy to play the piano at evening service. Let's pop Joshua and Abraham in there. Adam and Abraham over there. And then we go to our repeatable events, our morning service. We've got piano here. We can filter to piano at morning service. Let's save that change. And if we go back to evening service for piano, we can filter to piano at evening service and save those changes. So all that means that when we want to start rostering, and to do rostering, by the way, it's best to go to the rostering item. You can go through calendar and roster for each event, but rostering gives you the full plan. And it lets you create events that haven't been created yet. We can see that we've got 2 past events which have had some people rostered on, but we're going to roster this following morning and evening service. Let's just create the event first of all. We can see, oh well, there we are for the morning service piano. We have Abraham and Adam available. Let's ask Adam to do that. As you can tell, we've just assigned him. We haven't notified him. We haven't sent an email or anything. He can see it on his app now. He doesn't get notified, but he can see it on his My Roster page on the app if he's signed in. You can cancel that. You can remove that piano roster item altogether. But let's keep him signed on for there. You can edit it, etc., etc. Now let's assign, let's say, Adam for supper, and let's create our evening service, and ask Joshua to do this one, and let's see if Joshua. Well, let's not do Joshua. He's pretty busy, poor guy. So let's see if Eve will do the supper roster. Adam and Eve. Let's see if Adam and Eve will do the supper roster for the evening service. Now, they haven't been notified. If you want to notify just this user, just Adam, then you can press this button here, and that will work nicely. We can see then that he will be notified. Otherwise, you can go up here and send email notifications. That means that everyone who hasn't been notified yet will be notified. They'll be notified by getting an email. The email will contain their whole roster. It will mark the roster items that are new that they haven't been notified about before. It will mark them as new, so it kind of highlights them, points them out. And users don't need to be signed in to their app. They don't even need to have activated their account to be able to respond. They can just accept or decline from the email. There are 2 buttons in email that they can follow to accept or decline. If that notification is declined, then whoever did the rostering, whoever created the roster or made the request, the assignment, they will get an email to say that the person, for instance, Adam, has declined the roster request. That's just to notify you that you need to ask someone else. Potentially, Adam can also request a sub, so he might have declined and also requested a sub, especially if he's an active account. So that's how to do the rostering. You can also, if say you're using a phone, or you'd rather than looking at the broad scheme of events, the schedule here, you can actually change the layout. So if we go to the icon, the cog icon here, you can change the layout. You can actually show it by roster item. So let's show all the piano roster items. We can see, for each event and each date there. You can even filter to certain events only for the morning service, and you can assign them that way. So you'd assign them like so. And then you'd either send notifications to each individual, or push just the send for all button. On top of that, you can also group. So you can group to only the supper roster, and that means that everyone who's on supper in the morning service, helper 1, 2, and 3, they're together. And then you can see the morning service. There's no roster for that day. Here we've got morning service, the roster there. Anything that isn't a part of a roster group, and then the music, piano, guitar, and drums. So we can play with the UI a little bit there. You can also autofill roster. Now, autofill, it only works within the parameters that we've set here. So only for morning service, music, morning service. It will autofill everything that hasn't been filled yet. It will fill. And its logic is based off the person who did it earliest, the longest time ago. They will try to roster them on next. So it spreads it out evenly. If a user has entered in their user unavailability, what days they're unavailable, which they can do by going to their profile and punching in some Sundays that they're not available, well, then the autofill roster, it will not select them for those days that they're unavailable. So that can speed up your job quite quickly. The other pretty cool feature is you can print rosters out. So let's print roster for the music, and let's give it a date range of Monday through to end of Feb. We could select only certain users. Let's skip that for now. We'll come back to that and show the morning service. So there we go. We've got our music roster. We've got it on the 26th all the way through to the Feb, and we can see who's on roster. No one's been rostered on for these other events. So you can generate that PDF file and print it if you like. The other thing you can do is you print the roster, you select music, let's select the dates to end of Feb. You can also select individual users. So what this does is it actually highlights their name for morning service. This could be helpful for a lot of people who are technically challenged. Let's put it that way. You can print that off. It's got their name highlighted. It's got the dates, and it's got what they're rostered on for. It also shows who else is rostered, so it's got all the information there. And you can print that off and hand people physical copies if you like. So that's a pretty nifty feature as well. If you needed to, and if the events exist, you can go to the calendar, open up the event, and just create it, do some of the rostering from here. But that can take a lot. If you want to do multiple events and things, it's best to do it in the rostering, I think. It's very phone friendly, so you can do it on your phone quite easily as well. Yeah, I think that's about it. So that's rostering in Churchkin.